Hello everyone. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending to where you're joining us from. As we already mentioned before on this panel alone, we also have quite different time zones. So thanks again, Danielle, for joining us this early. And in general, we have over 80 participants, which is really, really great. I mean, participants from 80 different countries, which is really great. So I'm particularly happy that you're joining us for this session today on retaining future leaders. So by now, we all probably have come across several studies proving that women in leadership actually equal better financial returns and also better performance. And this is also what we're talking about today, in the sense that how do we actually find and especially retain the right talents to ensure equal participation at the leadership level. And with me for that, I have three wonderful women here today who are all from quite diverse backgrounds, but have experience and are leaders themselves, so they know what it takes to actually retain future leaders. And I'm happy to share this discussion with you today. So I'd say it's best if we directly jump into it and you just introduce yourself. And let me directly start with you, Larissa. Please give us a short introduction about yourself.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Lisa, for the good introduction. Yeah, let me take over. My name is Larissa Prinz. I'm working for Boston Consulting Group. I'm a principal there. I'm working primarily on marketing and sales topics in the telecom and media industry. I'm now with BCG for over 4 years. Before that, I was working for another consultancy, and I'm based in Munich. I have a little boy. He's 1.5, so I'm working 80% since I have him. And within BCG, I'm also very active in our women initiatives. So I'm actively working on our Family at BCG initiative, how we call it, and I'm the women node for 2 different practice areas that we have within BCG. So I'm happy to give you also some insights on how we are thinking about retaining future leaders.
Great, thank you so much, Larissa. Danielle, do you directly want to continue?
Thank you so much, Lisa, and nice to hear a bit from Larissa and the rest of the speakers. Hello, everybody. My name is Daniela Zapata. I'm originally Colombian. I consider myself a philanthropist, a leader by choice, and a natural relationship builder. Currently, what I do is that I head business development at Mindvalley globally. For the ones that maybe are not aware, Mindvalley is the largest edtech company in the field of personal growth or personal transformation. I'm also a founder of Beyond Education. I don't have children like Larissa. My only child is my foundation. I put all my energy there. We have hundreds of kids, so I consider those my child so far. The foundation is based in Colombia, and we work on a mission of eradicating poverty from the inside out. I've spent probably the last 10 years of my life going very deep in leadership, in managerial roles, and with a very deep emphasis in sales, which tends to be a very male-dominated field. So I have a lot of insights to share personally, and really looking forward to share a bit of what we do at Mindvalley, what I've seen in other companies that we partner with, and a bit of my personal journey with you all.
Thank you so much, Daniela. So last but not least, Solange, do you want to introduce yourself briefly as well?
Sure, thank you so much. And I was just inspired by you, Daniela, using like the expression, from the inside out. My name is Murièle Solange Bolay, and my initials MSB, as we all know, also stand for mind, soul, and body. Great reminder. So my parents probably already knew what kind of like, a stamp they have to put on me for me to remind myself to like equally, nurture every single one of my aspects as a human being. And that is what I bring into my work. And guess what? My company's name is MSB and Partners. So I'm a transformational expert by now. I'm doing this for 13 years, and I have had like early successes in my life, and I'm not now just like really excited. And I discovered like a new talent of mine to bring all of my experiences from like I believe I was like the worldwide first business host like on an online platform ever, which was back in 2007. I published books, I traveled the world, I like did so many things. And I am now really super excited and fulfilled to call my job being an empathetic strategist, leading people to that place where they can flourish and just explore the world from a whole different angle. So I hope with that I can add something to this conversation as well.
Thank you so much, everyone. Before we directly dive in with the first question, I just would like to remind everyone in the audience that you can also ask questions in the Q&A section on the right side. So please feel free to do so. We will also answer any questions you may have later on. And I would say I directly start with the first question, and what better way to start with asking for why? So why do you actually think that it's important to develop and as a consequence also retain future female leaders in that case inside a team or inside a company? And I would say we just keep the flow that we just had. So I pass on to you, Larissa. Why do you think is it important?
Yeah. Thanks, Lisa. I mean, as you mentioned already when in your introduction, so we all know the studies about diverse teams. So I think everyone is aware of really the benefit of having mixed teams and how they can really help you, to deliver better results. I think for us, especially as a consultancy, I think the situation, I mean, for sure, we have the topic of having mixed teams to deliver good results, but we also get a special pressure from our clients. Especially, I mean, if I think about companies in the Nordics who are even more advanced when it comes to female share. So already a couple of years back, we got clear requests from the clients there. Okay, we for sure want to have like mixed teams. And I think this also underlines why it is even more important on top to the, I think really, outcome that we see and diverse teams are delivering better. And I think what we can also see, which is another thing, I think as all companies become aware of this diversity aspect, we can also see, especially when it comes to senior people who have a certain education, so have a couple of years in consulting or other jobs before, they are highly asked in the market. And it's also for us, at BCG, it's quite challenging to be still very attractive to those people to make them stay with us.
To follow up on this, so do you have any examples of what BCG is already doing there to promote and get hold of these talents and these high potentials?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that we are doing actually. I mean, maybe let me start one thing. I think a couple of years back, we really started to put a lot of emphasis on this topic, and we created our own women initiative on a global, on a regional, and also on a country-specific level. And this is more or less kind of the incubator of all topics around women that we have. So I think we came up with a lot of we did a good job in terms of offering flex time models. Now the current situation with COVID for us, especially from the women perspective, I think it's a big chance, especially as working models will become more hybrid, more flexible in the future. this is also one topic that we are looking into, and how to further accelerate our proposition there, because our job will hopefully, or most likely, not consist of 4 to 5 days of intensive travel anymore, which it will make hopefully more attractive also for female colleagues. And then I think apart from the flex time, we do a lot in terms of mentoring and parent mentors, but also kind of senior mentors. We offer individual coaching opportunities for all the women that we have. And then we do a lot of networking that within the female network at BCG. This is just like a snapshot of different things that we are doing.
Yeah, thank you so much, Larissa. I think that's really valuable and also inspiring for a lot of other organizations for sure as well. So Daniela, let me continue with you. What is your why? Why do you think it is important to develop those female leaders within a team or a company?
Yeah, I love this question because I believe two main reasons that come to my mind. The first one is, even if we would like to say that is not like that, a lot of business are still very, very top down, right? So it's not only important to develop female talent, but female leaders, right? Because the decisions are being made at the C-level, middle manager level, at a senior level. And if the leadership and the decision-making bodies are not diverse or are not holistic enough, the decisions that will be made for the company, for the stakeholders, for the customers are not going to be representative enough. So I think that's the first thing. It's important to have women making decisions, so the decisions that we make are inclusive and representative for the company, for the stakeholders. And the second reason is, I know Solange loved this topic. It's one of the core reasons that I see. I don't like to generalize normally, but it is very important to understand that there are certain patterns associated to a female leadership style and a male leadership style. And it comes from energies, right? The energies that we bring to the table. Of course, I'm not generalizing, but there are some certain patterns that we need to be aware of. And I think we are in a very critical time of humanity globally, where more than ever we need leaders that are compassionate, that are caring, that are inclusive, that are willing to put well-being first. And I'm glad to say that as women, it comes natural to us to bring this to the table. And I think that's more relevant than ever. I work supporting companies and HR partners with everything that goes from peak performance to well-being. And I can see how topics like mental health, resilience, well-being in general, mindfulness are on the rise and are more important than ever. And I think that right now, as being able to bring a compassionate approach to the table, that doesn't make us weak. That actually help us to foster PQ, which is the positive intelligence and the morale of the teams. So what I mean by this is, yes, male leadership approach is still very valuable and it's important, but it's super, super important, and more than ever, we bring this holistic way to complement and to showcase that leadership can be done in a different way and needs to be done in a different way, so we can retain our talent and we can guide the company towards success without sacrificing people's well-being.
Yeah, thank you so much, Daniela. I think you also made the perfect transition to hand over to Solange. Do you want Solange to say anything, especially when it comes to mindfulness and female factors, in a sense, in the workplace, this male or female energy? So what is your point on that?
This really is one of my favorite topics, as you said, Daniela. And I want to go back to that very word why, right? Because I want to start right there. I think there is actually a layer above the why, which no one ever talks about. And that to me is like the word combination of what for, right? What is like this curiosity that we human beings have. We're like these little children, like, oh, how does this go? How does that go? And then for is like standing for the adult inside of us, like gives us the direction. And if we combine these two words, we automatically ask ourselves, what for am I putting this energy into this company, into this job, into my life. And that catapults us into a future. And that is where I would like to focus on, because when we create our ideal future and then reverse engineer, then we know what kind of, or what type of a leadership we need now in order to get there. And I think every other conversation is just talking around like the same old topics, but it's not actually moving us further to, you know, this North Star that we probably all have. And I'm even assuming that we all kind of have a similar kind of North Star. So, but the really the basic question is, how is our Earth going to look like in 10 years, 20 years? And how do companies need to change their trajectories in order to, you know, stay relevant and produce products and services that matter in the future? And it doesn't really matter so much if it's a woman or a man who is guiding that process. I think it should just be a representative for that vision. And I think this can be a man or a woman, or ideally both, sharing like a C-level job.
And because you're really much already playing into future and how things might change, what do you think will be one of the biggest challenges we will face, especially in the future and with everything changing now also in the workplace, when it comes to retaining future leaders? Solange, do you directly want to continue?
Yeah, sure. I think another very important question that we should ask ourselves as women is, do we even want to step into a predefined environment, which is defined by man? Because obviously when we do that, we are adjusting, or we're trying to force something into a very well-functioning system that just works for man. But it does not really go with like the cycle of the women, with our hormones, with our ups and downs, with our, you know, like, we're more like the moon. Sometimes we're big, sometimes we're small, right? Men do not have that as much as we do. So wouldn't it be interesting to actually create an alternative system that really works well for women?
That's really interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I'm wondering, so Larissa, are there any challenges that you are currently facing and that you think we will face more in the future when it comes to retaining future leaders?
I like Murielle's point. I think just to add on that one, I think competition will become a major issue, because it will definitely intensify. Everybody knows, I mean, the quota coming up, everybody realizing, okay, I need more, highly educated female talents in my team. So there will be, I think, a quite big fight for the best female talents that we have, which is for sure, at least from BCG perspective, one of the biggest challenges that we are facing. And especially, companies will be super, I think, super innovative and also flexible in terms of what they are going to offer. I mean, now COVID has changed, so much in the working environment. And I think now it's kind of like a bit like a green field. And you can really say, okay, how do we really have to best, how does the perfect working place environment look like? And I think there will be quite a lot of creative companies that will really manage to generate a USP out of that. I think that will be a very strong proposition.
Yeah, it's also interesting that you're mentioning this, because we, for example, at the Female Factory regularly do surveys, especially for female employees, and ask them what do they actually need from their employers, you know, to feel empowered and to be motivated. And there we usually always find that the top three things are, on the one hand, flexibility, so also this work-life balance. Then there are the development possibilities, obviously, and the third part that they often mention are diversity and inclusion initiatives that are already implemented in the company or in the organization they work for. So I think this will also get more and more important in the future for every employer, especially. So
for sure. And just to add on that one, maybe I think, yes, for sure, financial benefits will be always an issue. But I think this is also a difference between male and female. I think for most of the women, I think if they earn then at the end X% more or less will not be the differentiator. As Solange said, especially things like, what's the purpose of the company? Why is this company existing? What are they doing for the society? How does it look like with sustainability? Those are kind of also the topics I think that especially female leaders have in mind, and they want to have really a purposeful job, offering them flexibility, clear career perspective. And I think this is like the key to success.
Totally, yeah. I think impact is definitely one of the key motivational factors for women. So Daniela, do you maybe also want to share something about what you're doing, especially at Mindvalley, where you're also working at? I think you're offering a lot of great development possibilities there. And how do you, in that sense, also help women in particular to get their seat at the table as well, and yeah, to bring them into leadership positions?
That's a great question, and I agree so much with some of the challenges that Larissa mentioned. Like something personal that I wanted to highlight, I was recapping a bit of my experience in the past. As I told you, mostly I've been moving in some leadership roles, and especially with a huge emphasis on partnership and sales. And I was making the calculation, and I always took the job from a man and I handed over to a woman. And I was like, is this coincidence? And the thing is, I think the way I was raised, luckily by my mother, I never saw being a woman an obstacle for anything, right? Like I never allowed that, or my age, even if I was too young, to allow that to stop me. And I was never fearless to go for a job that was with a white dude in a suit. Like I never thought that just because I don't look like him, I cannot take it over, right? And I'd always put a lot of discipline and passion into whatever I do. So for me, it was not even a topic, like I was not even aware that there were these challenges. When I started making the kind of like the balance, I realized it's crazy. I always took the role from a man. I was empowered enough, thanks to my mom, to not see that as a problem. But I realized that at the workplace, the reason why this happened is because for the first time, women after me, they felt represented. They felt, I don't need to look like this, or I don't need to be like this, or I don't need to behave like this, or my leadership style doesn't need to be like this, so I can be successful. Okay, there's a chance for me. And I believe the biggest challenge that most companies have is that if in C-level or in decision-making roles or in managerial roles or really leadership roles, women are not present, it's a bit of what Solange said. It's sad to say, I need to sacrifice my authenticity of who I am just so I can hit the successful fake mark or the standard of what a great leader in this company is. So I think a great thing that I have seen in Mindvalley since I arrived, I've seen a lot of female leaders. That there has been, and from all type of backgrounds, political view, religion, religious views. One of the core values of the company is unity. And I really see it represented in the people that belong to the organization, in the women that lead key projects. And just to what I think, such as Larissa said, some of the biggest challenges that I've seen in order to retain female talent, one is the idea of the meaningful work. I think as women, we care super, super, super deep into making sure that it's not a transactional relationship. We care about long-term impact. So I believe that if the company has a way to portray the meaningful work that we can do, that's a win to retain a female. The second one is feeling valuable. I think we all care about feeling valuable. I mean, it's human nature, but especially women, we want to contribute by nature. We want to give, we want to help, we want to serve. If we're able to find spaces for women where they can be valuable and feel appreciated, that's super important. Work-life balance, Larissa, as you mentioned, I think sometimes we forget that in most countries, women not only have a job, but like they are the head of the family. They take care of the husband, they take care of the kid. Now they become even nannies at home with the kid, with 24/7 working from home. And they wear so many hats. We wear so many hats. We don't think they're jobs. We think they're roles we play in life, but they are really full-time jobs at home. And sometimes men don't need to take that space because a woman is taking over and leading that field. So a woman does definitely need some flexibility in terms of working remote, in terms of flexible hours. That's definitely a very, very important item that we can not forget just because we're in a more empowered generation of women. We still face those challenges, especially in countries that are not really are underdeveloped countries or third world countries as well.
Totally. And we also got one question directly from an anonymous person, but he or she is asking, what is the biggest challenge that today's young generations will face in terms of their chances towards being future leaders? And I don't know who of you wants to go ahead and answer that question. Maybe you, Solange, do you have any opinion there? Solange? Oh, you're on mute. No worries.
Yes. So how I see the future personally is that younger generations, I mean, even our generation already feels it, and we're already exploring it in one or the other way if you compare it to like our parents' generations. The younger the generation, the more different areas they have that they become experts in, or that they have interests or passions for. And so I see the future actually being a mix of like big corporations and startups, where these two like merge and become like competence centers, right? Where young people will have the ability to maybe have like 3 passions and contribute to each competence center that they collaborate with their very passion. And then sometimes there are leaders, sometimes there are just, or just they are like more of like a team player. I think this will change dramatically with these younger generations. So I very much encourage you to not only like focus on like one thing and erase everything else because you were told that you can only be an expert or specialist if you focus on one thing. Because I think the human race, again, with like the what for, if you keep that internal child alive, that internal child is curious. And that internal child does not want to focus on just one thing, right? So leave that open and you will become your own personal leader, which is the most important anyways. And once you are your own personal leader, without forcing or doing anything, you will become a leader for others.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Does anyone else of you want to elaborate on that question? What's the biggest challenge for the young generation to, being a future leader? No? Otherwise, we can also move on to the next question. That is from Larissa, and I assume it's for you, Daniela. She asks, how is Mindvalley helping female talents and leaders to live and work in alignment with their female cycle?
That's a wonderful question. Indeed, we have a very, very, very bottom-up culture in so many aspects. And one of the things that I appreciate the most that we do at Mindvalley is every person in the organization is super talented, has their own gifts, their own passions, as Solange was sharing. And something that we encourage people a lot to do is to, just show up at the company and deliver a couple of spaces where you can share some of your passions, or teach something that you know to the rest of the company. There's a person inside our company. Her name is Ellie. She's actually from Germany, and she delivers workshops that it was beautiful because I was never educated. You don't get this nobody teach you this at school, right? And it was beautiful because one of the workshops she has been sharing, she invites women, men, whoever wants to come to a workshop. It's open completely for free for everybody inside the company. I got to learn and understand which week of the cycle of the month I am supposed to maybe use this energy because I'm in a more performing stage. This is the space to perhaps focus more on your well-being and rest. In this space, don't try to make decisions. And I'm like, oh my God, I've been doing this all wrong. But it was wonderful to have access to this sort of knowledge. And as a female leader, to understand that we are not like little dudes that have to, just suck the pain, the emotions, and just go and act like nothing is happening, which is what I thought I had to do, like, I cannot show that I have grants. Oh my God, I cannot show that I'm emotional these days. Instead of that, it's more about embracing and understanding that it's a natural process. And I think on this specific question from Elisa, I think it's not like a company policy that we train women in this, but we have very bottom-up spaces that are open all the time. And we have luckily people like Ellie that she delivers these workshops. And expanding it a bit more, the company does really, really focus on encouraging a work-life balance. Like literally our CEO tell us, don't come to work before 11 a.m. because I want you to wake up and first thing in the morning, do your personal routine, do your meditation, do your reading, do your green smoothie, do your gratitude journal, whatever it is that you believe in. If you have a religion, pray, whatever is your practices and your routine. So you start a day dedicating time to yourself and energized and grateful for the things that you have in life. So that's very powerful. And that goes beyond just, the female cycle. It's more about empowering, giving you power over your life and understanding that you come first and your job is not you, but it's a big part of what you do. So put yourself first in some sort of a way. I hope I answered your question, Elisa, that those are some of the practices that we have. I don't know if it's for every company, but I believe that if you have the ownership to run this in your teams and define the rules, it's something that definitely makes a big difference.
Yeah, that's great. I think Elisa is also an expert here. That's probably why she asked, because she was also hosting one of our masterclasses before on using your cycle as a superpower. So she for sure knows a lot there as well. But thanks so much for sharing this, Daniela. I think that's really inspiring also what your company is already doing there. So let me ask you, Larissa, directly, do you also have you're working in a big corporate organization, so what are you looking to for good practices or examples and inspiration for your company and your workplace?
So you meaning which companies we are looking into?
It can be companies, can be leaders, yeah.
I would say it's like we are open for everything, to be honest. I think for us it's key. So for sure we look into what are the big companies in Silicon Valley doing. But I think also other consultancies, other companies, I think each and everyone has super creative and very good ideas. And key is to get an understanding, okay, what are the good ideas? What can we implement? And I think you always need to be aware. There is not the one silver bullet answer. So you need to have like a buffet of different options, of different services, of different measures that you're offering, so that also each and every individual colleague that you're having can pick from it whatever she needs. And I think therefore the more variety, the more different offers you're getting, I think the better it will be.
Thank you. Yeah, really, really interesting as well. And we have one more question that I would like to ask you. So Era is I hope I pronounced this right. She's asking, what is the most valuable quality to have in any leadership position? So maybe each one of you can name us their top most valuable quality.
I think for me, it's empathy.
Daniela?
So I will have to go with the same one with Larissa, and I'll tell you why. There's a model called the 5 dysfunctions of a team. And basically the model explains what are the challenges that you need to overcome so you can have a high performance team. And the first blocker or dysfunction that we need to overcome is the lack of trust or the lack of vulnerability. So if as a leader, you're capable to be compassionate, empathetic, if you're capable to open a space that feels safe for people to trust and to be vulnerable and to be themselves, you already overcome the first dysfunction that will take you to really create a high-performing team.
Thank you. Solange, last but not least.
Well, as an empathetic strategist, how I call myself, I would probably go with a similar answer. And I think before that comes one thing, and I think that I would call like the most important thing in any leadership position is listening. And not only listen with your ears, listen with your heart, listen with your eyes, listen with all your senses, because that is like, you know, the foundation of empathy.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think we all pretty much agreed that the number one word is empathy. And to also wrap this discussion, I would like each one of you to share one call to action, especially for HR decision makers and leaders out there, as probably a lot of them have been listening to us as well. One call to action when it comes to retaining their female leaders. Whoever wants to start, please feel free.
Maybe then I go first. So for me, it's a combination. So it's be transparent, communicate openly, give clear career perspectives and flexibility, and have role models.
Yes, transparency and role models for sure. Also, really, what we have discovered that they are really important for the next generation of female leaders as well. So, Daniela, what do you think?
So I think the first thing that I'll say is we need to make sure that women have equal opportunities to succeed, right? Like not more, not less, just equal, right? That's something that we need to face, because we know that in a big chunk of companies is not the case. So it's very important to first go with acceptance, surrender to the facts. And the second thing I would say, in order to make sure that females have equal opportunities to succeed, there are two sides of the coin. There's a company culture, which plays a massive role, but there's also the role that the manager plays. And what I love in this HR track is we have probably the leaders of many managers or managers itself. And I believe that the call to action and the importance is to the processes we put in place and to the type of qualities we hope to find in the people that we put to lead a team. Because in these days in LinkedIn, there was a very, an image going viral. I don't know if all of you agree, but I'll read it as it goes. It says something around the fact that a better manager is more important than a big paycheck. I don't know if it's true for you. Maybe for some of you agree, maybe some of you not. But I believe that a great or a bad manager does make a huge difference in the experience of every person. And in this case, when we're talking about retaining female talents, I believe that more than ever, it's very important that we have leaders that are not just managers, but more mentors above it all. And I will say that most of the time, if I was able to empower many women in my career, it has been because of the offline approach that I've taken, the personal relationship that I have built, the conversations we have, the questions that I ask about what's your dream, what's your ambition, where do you want to go? Words of affirmation, I see potential in you. I know that you can make this. And just one short story to highlight what is the importance of creating this relationship. I was in what we call a career growth meeting in the company. It's where we sit down with every talent and we debrief and provide feedback for the quarter or the semester, and we have the conversations about salary raises, right? And one of my female talents, she came to me completely unprepared. Like, she didn't even know how to justify that she wanted a raise. She didn't even know how to ask for a raise. She didn't even know if she was worthy of a raise. And when I was meeting with some of my male talents, straightforward, they came right away with why they wanted, why they deserve it, data. And I was like, damn, there's a big gap here. Nobody teaches us how to negotiate that. So instead of, just being like, sorry, you didn't ask for anything, you don't get it, I play more the role of a mentor and try to walk her through, hey, I want you that you will never have to face this situation. This is what you can do so you can speak up for your value. And she told me thanks, because this lesson changed my life. And I hope that whenever she goes, she can take this for her career. Example like these are little things that we can do as managers to make sure that we can foster the morale of our people. That's
totally. Thanks so much for sharing. So we have 1 minute left. Solange, do you still want to share your call to action?
Yeah, I keep it really short. So I can just, like, when I look at this screen and I see you three ladies, since I'm a woman, I have, like, all these parallel thoughts at the same time. Everything, like, all, freeways and highways are running. And I'm just asking myself, what would come out if the four of us would come together again and just bring all our talents together? What would grow right out of that? And I think that goes along with, like, retaining, talent, especially female talent. It's really, thinking ahead, maybe also, like, mentoring, as you said, Daniela, the person in front of you. And again, you don't have to come with the solution. Come with the questions. Come with the questions, and then do this one thing, which is listening, and then empathetically connect and guide them. And I think if a woman, also if a man feels that empathy, you bond so strongly and you build a culture that people do not want to leave. They want to be part of that culture. And I can just, like, when I look at you, I'm like, wow, Mindvalley, Boston Consulting and Female Factor, they are so happy to have the three of you, like, as their representatives and passionate leaders. I think none of you are thinking about, leaving their jobs. And ask yourself why, right? Because you feel connected to the culture of the companies that you're working with.
Thank you so much, Solange, and also to you, Daniela and Larissa. This was really a great conversation and discussion. It was super inspiring. Thank you all for sharing your insights and tips with everyone. I truly enjoyed it, and I hope we can continue with this sometime. Maybe this year still, or next year. Thank you for being here, and have a good afternoon or morning.